Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest and welcome to another technical update video. I am recording this on the 12th of July because I'll be busy all day on Sunday, but I don't think much will change. So what I'm going to do in today's video is I will go through indices, commodities, crypto and bonds, but no individual companies. But I will be doing a separate video on about 10 individual companies whose charts looks really interesting to me right now. Now, what I do on the weekend is I go through all my watch lists. I typically go through the charts fairly quickly, but I'm looking for some interesting setups, and I write these companies' ticker codes all down on a piece of paper, and then I have that piece of paper next to me all through the week. So I have about 20 charts written down, or ticker codes written down. I won't go through all of them. I'll just go through about 10 of them. Watch out for that video to be released on Monday, the 14th of July. I've also recorded another video to release on Monday. That was a continuation of a question I did get in the answer reply video, which was on the connection between tariffs and inflation. Okay, so let's start off with looking at the XJO. And the XJO is having a lot of trouble getting above 8,600. It just can't do it. It just can't do it. In fact, we've seen it get to above 8,600 once, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times. 12 times, and it just can't do it. Now, I think the more times we see it try to get above 8,600, that's better because eventually it will. Eventually it will. I have heard some arguments that the more times it hits, or a price hits a level, either up or down, the stronger that either resistance or support becomes. But I'm on the opposite camp, or in the opposite camp, that the more times, in this case, the indice tries to get above 8,600, the more times it tries, the longer it takes, the more likely it's going to push through eventually. So I don't think this 12 times doesn't necessarily mean it strengthens this resistance level. Don't know if there's any research being done on that, but that's the way I think. Anyway, so the XJO is having trouble getting above 8,600, finished the week at 8,580.1. And for the week, probably a fairly flat week, down slightly, down 0.27%. There you go. So, I mean, it's not bad that we're seeing a nice little consolidation period here for the XJO, been going sideways actually did go sideways for most of June. So for about a month now, after a nice little rally over a 2-month period. So no problems with any sort of, indice, stock price, commodity going sideways for a period of time. And what you might see is just some of the weaker hands getting flushed, not flushed out, but they become bored and they move on to something else. And that's never a bad thing, those who are bored easily. Anyway, it works better with companies. You see that a lot. Share price of a company goes sideways, people get bored, they sell out, move on to the next best thing, and then all of a sudden you just see it break out. We saw that with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, now on to the XSO. And this one is also going sideways as well. Maybe that's going to be the theme. Everything is just going sideways. And in fact, the XSO is right in the middle of the purple box, which is a resistance zone. We want to see the XSO get above 3,280. Just shy, but still going sideways. Okay, I think we're not going to see any more surprises. XTL, this is doing the same thing, just going sideways. And again, in a purple box, so a resistance zone. And the reason this is a resistance zone, not only for the XTL, but also the XSO, is because we have seen this indice and the other one get into this purple box in the past and has failed to get through and then pulled back. And we saw the XTL get into this purple box back on the 4th of June, so over 1 month ago, and it stayed almost entirely within that purple box since then. What about the XTX? Well, it's showing the same thing, isn't it? So no surprises here. We really want some of these indices to get to new all-time highs. We want to see a bit of strength. That would be good. Now, just because we're not seeing that strength just yet doesn't mean we're going to see a pullback or anything like that. It will go sideways for a while, but eventually we're going to have a movement either up or down. Which way that's going to be, No idea at this point in time. I can't predict the future perfectly. No one can. Well, the sun's going to come up tomorrow, but eventually, if I keep making that prediction, eventually I'm going to be wrong because one day the sun will explode or be stolen by an advanced alien civilization. What about the XBK? Now, don't have a purple box here. There is a nice little support level right there. That was the highs we saw back in February. And you can just see it's the XBK is having trouble falling below that, which is interesting. You can see it's tried a few times back in June, and then it actually bounced off this level during the week. So that's a sign that this little support level has held firm for the XBK, the ASX 200 banks. Now, funnily enough, I would say if we do see significant weakness in our indices, particularly the XJO, not the XTX, but typically the XJO and XTL, not the XSO, it's probably because of the banks. The banks are mostly overvalued. Now, in saying that, one of the companies I will show you in an individual video will be one of the banks. I'm just going to make sure I talk about that. So I'm going to put a mark next to that bank. But this particular chart of this particular bank, one of the four big banks, actually looks sort of interesting. And it's also the cheapest of the banks. What about the XMM, the 300 or ASX 300 Metals and Mining Index? This is in the downtrend, but this particular indice is right on the downtrend line. The last time it hit the downtrend line was about a week ago, and then it pulled lower, and it's right up there again. So maybe we're seeing a little bit of strength within mining, particularly if we see it break out above that downtrend line. So that could happen during the next week. And it's been a fairly, what should I say, well-behaved downtrend. So all you have to do to draw a downtrend is just draw from the first high to the second high. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, and just continue that line. And in fact, you can see this particular indice meet up with this downtrend line, and as soon as it gets to it, it bounces lower, it falls lower. It's done that a few times now. And will this be another time? So hopefully we'll see a breakout with mining. The other thing is, if we do see mining go on a bit of a run, we also might see the banks pull back. You might see a bit of rotation out of the banks because they are overvalued into some of the mining companies, particularly BHP. I'd say there'd be a lot of rotation between those two companies, and I think there is research being done on that. Okay, so that's the indices on the ASX. By the way, our futures are down a little bit. What about New Zealand? New Zealand? Looks like a slightly negative week for New Zealand. Down 0.63%. Yeah, there's nothing really to talk about. The NZ50X or NZX50 is still well off the highs we saw back in late last year and early this year. So well off from those highs. And most of the Australian indices have reached those highs or have been trying to get above those highs. So New Zealand a little bit weaker than Australia. And some Australians might say, well, that's the case for the whole country. I won't go there. Although I would say they have much better mountains than we do. Much better mountains than we do. So that's one thing going for New Zealand. Anyway, on to the new. By the way, I have nothing bad to say about New Zealand or New Zealanders. They're wonderful people, and it's a wonderful country. And they're like a little brother. That's like they are. They're like a little brother. And I always make fun of little brothers, although I don't have a little brother because I'm the youngest. Okay, now on to the American indices. We'll start off with the NDQ, which is the Nasdaq 100, down 0.21% on a Friday. This one did get to all-time highs not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago. Also got to all-time high during the week. Looks pretty good. Probably one of my favorite indices right now. The Nasdaq, and I have no problem with that because I do own quite a few companies in the Nasdaq and a lot of the bigger companies. So if this index is doing well, my portfolio typically is doing well as well. Although it does look like on Friday it was. You can look at the equal weighted Nasdaq 100, and this was down a little bit more, down 0.68%. So maybe a little bit of strength in the bigger companies. That's what that would mean. If the equal weighted is down by a significant more amount than the Nasdaq, that means a little bit of strength in the larger companies. And that means maybe, yeah, Nvidia was up 0.5%. There you go. The biggest company in the world was up. So Nvidia is just, and by the way, Microsoft was up. In fact, these charts are looking brilliant. Microsoft was up, Nvidia was up, Tesla was up, I suppose. Alphabet was up, Amazon was up. Yeah, only Apple was down, and Apple has been disappointing. So all these big companies were up, which is why the equal weighted was down a fair bit, but the overall Nasdaq was actually down. So yeah, that's all I can say about that. So yeah, okay. Now on to someone did mention, can you look at the S&P 500? Here's the S&P 500. Not much difference to the Nasdaq. This is one of the reasons why it's virtually similar. It's one of the reasons why I don't really look at the XJO and the XAO. They're virtually similar, subtle differences. So I only really need to look at one. I suppose I could look at this as S&P 500, but I do prefer to look at the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones because they are a little bit more different than the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. And the whole reason behind that is if you have a look at the makeup of the S&P 500, a lot of the big companies in Nasdaq are the bigger companies in the S&P 500. Sort of makes sense. But the Dow Jones is completely different in makeup than the Nasdaq. So let's have a look at the Dow Jones. And this one was looking really bullish this time last week. Looking fairly bullish. I thought, oh, it looks like it might break out. And then a bit of a down week for the Dow Jones, down 1%. By the way, the Nasdaq was up slightly, no, down slightly, down 0.38%. So maybe if we go back to the daily chart for the Nasdaq, no, Dow Jones, sorry. If we go back to the daily chart for the Dow Jones, there we go. It did get close to the double top highs back in late last year and early this year. So again, that is a bit of resistance for the Dow Jones Industrial. Might take a while for it to break through that level. Who knows? It could happen the next week, 1 month from now, 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, more, less likely. More likely it's going to be well before that. What about small caps? Small caps down 1.26%. So that also shows that what happened on Friday on Wall Street was mostly driven, or the good times were driven by the bigger companies, the better companies, and smaller companies and the less better companies didn't have a good day. So it was good to be in the big companies on Friday. The Russell 2000 looks like it had a good week. Oh no, probably flat. Just by looking at that, eyeballing it, flat, down 0.63%. Looks flat. So there it is. Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. Yeah, it looks flat. Oh, no. I have to look at the previous one. Yeah, you can definitely see it's down a little bit. That's because on Monday, it actually did gap down a little bit, about 0.6%. Oh, there you go. So the Russell 2000 is in that purple box, which has been in play for a while, for about a year now, and was acting as a bit of resistance, then support, now back to a bit of resistance. I wasn't liking this particular chart, but it does look better now. But not as good as the Nasdaq. Okay, and looks like futures are down. Although they would have finished just a little bit after close on Friday session, so Saturday morning our time, which is this morning, by the way. The other thing, I actually did not have a look at this morning because I went for a run straight away and did not have a look at what happened on Wall Street overnight. There you go. What about international indices, starting off with Nikkei? And Nikkei is still just in this resistance zone. It's been in this resistance zone for a while. This dashed line is a 1989 high. I'm pretty sure they had a high, their all-time high was, well, not anymore, but their all-time high for the longest time was late 1989, not 1989. That's that dashed line. So you can just see, it got to the all-time high back February last year, and you can just see it's oscillating above and below that all-time high for about 18 months now. So you can just see the market's it's struggling with the Nikkei getting to all-time highs. Who knows how long this will continue. And in the past week, Nikkei is down slightly, 0.61%. What about the Hang Seng? For some reason, I would have said the Hang Seng had a really bad week. But it was up 0.93%. Why did I think it had a bad week? Or maybe I'm thinking of the Nikkei. I don't know. still not getting past the all-time highs, not the all-time highs, but the most previous high on the 19th of March. Still struggling to get there, but it's still trending in the right direction. I think this will eventually get past those highs, 24,800. So not a bad looking indice, but not as good as the Nasdaq. What about the DAX? Oh, DAX did get to an all-time high on, looks like that's on Thursday. I do like this indice. This is a beautiful uptrend chart. New high highs, higher lows. You can just ignore this big dip in April. But beautiful looking chart for the DAX with another all-time high, and for the week up 1.97%. The Germans aren't complaining. What about the British? I did read somewhere that the FTSE got to a new all-time high. Let's see. Yes. Oh, and a beautiful breakout. Oh, what on Thursday? Look at that breakout. Up 1.23% on Thursday. A little bit down on Friday, but that's okay. That's a beautiful breakout. That's another beautiful looking chart. So really we have DAX, the FTSE. Oh, and we've got one left to go, which is the Toronto TSX, or the Canadian. So I really like the DAX, FTSE, Hang Seng, and Nasdaq. What about the Canadians? And I like this one as well. Like this one as well. Way better than the ASX or any of our indices. Beautiful rebound from the tariff war debacle. And so the market's saying Canada's going to benefit from any sort of tariff thingy. Okay, that's it for indices. What about commodities? Now, talking about my favorite indices, I definitely have a favorite commodity chart right now, and that has to be silver. Silver gets 2 thumbs up. And let's start off with gold, however. So gold, still looking okay. So I put in this ascending triangle last week. I think it was last week. And you can just see it. During the week, it's written up, this ascending triangle, beautifully. So it's still in play. The end of the week was pretty good. In fact, gold might have been up for the week. It was. It's up 0.88%. It's really interesting because I went through all the gold companies' charts on the ASX today, and so many of them look really bad. So one of the reasons behind that could be because of some disappointing updates from gold companies, including Northern Star. Ora Banda had one, a few other gold companies as well. So maybe that's what's causing the weakness in the ASX gold stocks. Maybe not the price of gold, but no problems with this gold chart at all. But I would like to see it get to new all-time highs above 3,450. But silver, wow, look at that, gorgeous. I wish I had more courage just to buy a few silver companies when it really broke out on the 5th of June. So 1 month ago, it broke out, went sideways for a while, and then 2 really good days to end the week, up 1.84% on Thursday and 4.42% on Friday. And look at the volume as well. Nice volume coming through. Let's see if it was a jump, like a 1 minute jump. No, just a broad rally. Look at that. Beautiful. I was just seeing if it jumped up in 1 minute, if there was any sort of news flow, that sort of thing. Maybe a silver mine was ceasing production for some reason. But this is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, commodity chart right now. Silver. Copper could be my second favorite commodity chart. So we had that 50% tariffs on copper announced. I'm not sure if it's been verified. So I mean, copper prices should be increasing. Hence why copper futures are up. There you go. That's the simple reason. I'm not sure why Trump is doing it. It's got to increase inflation, increase import prices on many, even goods in manufactured in the United States. I just don't understand. Don't understand it. He's just a crazy loon, in my opinion, who doesn't understand history, doesn't understand economics, doesn't understand anything. And that's what I'm going to say when it comes to Trump. I just don't think he is the best person for that sort of job. Anyway, copper, yeah, this is my second favorite chart. The very fact we haven't seen much selling coming in the last few days is a good sign. But yeah, this is another breakout. So silver looks really good. Copper looks really good. Silver slightly failed. I don't know. Silver, copper, oh, they're both looking really good. Iron ore had a pretty good end to the week as well. So iron ore's on the tear. nowhere near as good as silver and copper, because the previous high for iron ore wasn't that long ago. We're talking about May. So even though it's had a few good days, it's still nowhere near. Hopefully you can see how different silver, copper is to iron ore. Both silver and copper are long-term highs, maybe even all-time highs, but iron ore, yeah, it's like a 2-month high, which is like, nah. Uranium may be starting to turn around. So we've had that dip, but the good thing is it's remained above the downtrend line. That's exactly what we want to see. And hopefully we see uranium take off again. And maybe all the money that was piling into uranium a few weeks ago now piling into silver and copper. But I don't mind uranium at all. That's a Sprott asset management. But this is the actual uranium chart. And you can see why I use the other one, because this one's just very spotty. You have to do a line. You have to do a line chart. Oil. Ooh, actually, I just noticed up 2.75%. Little bit of strength in oil. Little bit, not a lot, but a little bit of strength. That's okay. And someone did ask me about lithium. Can I show you the lithium chart? But again, there's nothing to really see with lithium. So this is a lithium hydroxide. I don't think it's going to be much different from other lithium charts. Really hard to find any good lithium charts in TradingView. But yeah, just follow this blue line. I'll get rid of the moving averages. Follow the blue line of lithium. There's not that exciting. Still dropping, actually. So let's go back to candles. And let's go put in the moving averages. Coal. Paying a little bit more attention to a few coal companies, including Whitehaven Coal. And in fact, the coal chart, this is the Newcastle Coal Futures, looking pretty good. I like this chart. So potential upside for coal. Potential upside for coal. Tin, I noticed Metals X went on a bit of a run, but tin price is not doing anything. So when I say Metals X, this is a tin player on the tin, not tin player, tin play on the ASX. And yeah, 2-day run or 3-day run. So nice looking chart there, but not because of tin. And someone did ask about Palladium, and this is another potential favorite chart. Oh, the only problem with this one, it's in a resistance zone right now. I do like this chart, however. So maybe if you want to play Palladium, Zimplats, I don't know, Zimplats, maybe South 32. Zimplats had a nice run. Share price has pulled back, looks like a bit of a flag there. Volume is pretty much down as well. So maybe this could be a nice little play. Zimplats. Okay. Brief look at Cocoa? Nah, we can move on. Bitcoin broke out. What I might do is just put this line right there. We'll put it there. It's more of a zone, And we saw Bitcoin really break out probably on Thursday, up 4.26%, and it's continued to go up. No complaints from me. Yes, I am a Bitcoin owner. I bought Bitcoin at about 25,000 a few years ago, and it's done really well since then. So I haven't even thought about selling out, which is interesting, but we have to auto fit. There we go. And in fact, this chart looks really good over the long term. So no complaints from me. And there's me buying somewhere down here in late October 2023, somewhere there. And actually, I would have bought maybe 30,000, because I'm pretty sure I bought on a technical signal. There you go. Technicals do work. It's gone from 30. It's gone up fourfold since then. Okay, and Ethereum. Yeah, Ethereum. There's so many good charts here. So Bitcoin, Ethereum. We have, what else was there? Palladium looks good. Silver, copper, they all look good. So some really good charts here. Bonds, bonds up. Moving back towards 5%. There you go. Bonds on the move again, upwards. In fact, looks like bonds had a pretty good week. Or bad week, depending on your point of view. Up 1.91%. Don't forget, bonds and bond prices are bond yields and bond prices are inverse related. So bond yields are going up, bond prices are going down. And you can perfectly see that if with the TLT ETF, this particular chart looks awful, while the US 30-year bond chart looks brilliant. They're almost a mirror image, just because bond yields and bond prices are inversely related. Okay, and finally, the Aussie dollar keeps going up. Go, 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 you good thing. Go, go, go. We want this to on a massive tear. Go from 65 cents to $65. Or then I probably could stay in America for 5 years. Not that I want to do that. Anyway, that is all I have for this video. Now, so keep an eye on Monday for 10 ASX stock charts that look interesting to me. So not sure when I'll release that. More than likely, probably in the afternoon or evening. The other video I'll release on Monday, probably in the morning. Okay, so that's all I have. If you have any questions, any thoughts, leave those in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I am not a financial advisor. If you need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.